and we'll get started. All right, well, welcome to Promotions Planning and Design, Creating and Delivering Offers That Work with Albert Kaufman. I'm a local authorized expert with Constant Contact, and I'm also a digital marketing person. I've been studying online marketing for the last 9 years, and I started by teaching Facebook classes out of my living room, and since 2008 or so, and I am available for helping people brainstorm and think through any kind of marketing issues they might have. A lot of people ask me what I do, and sometimes it's difficult to explain because a lot of it really, is catered to the individual client and the individual organization that I'm working with. I work with large organizations, I work with small organizations, one-person shops all the way up to corporations. So it really depends on where you're at and what your needs are. I do everything from business coaching to, teaching people how to use Facebook who have never logged in before. So a lot of different kinds of tools. And I'm mostly focused these days on email marketing. I'll get into that a lot during today's presentation. If you're interested, there's an availability of a 60-day trial. Most of you have Constant Contact who are on the webinar today, as far as I know. But if you don't, you can get started with the trial by using the link here, or you can also try this fancy texting to trial technology if you are interested. It's kind of a fun thing that I've never really seen any other company do before. So I'm sure it's out there, but this is my only experience of it. So if you're interested in a trial of Constant Contact and all the tools within, you can go ahead and set up a trial that lasts for 2 months. And it also gives you the ability to try out the whole suite of Constant Contact tools. Through the end of the month, there's a 30% off Constant Contact for 3 months promotion going on. You use the promo code SPRING16. This is a great way to get started for anyone who doesn't have an account and who would like to dive in. I'll also give you an hour of my time to help you get your account set up. And also, speaking of my time, if you already have Constant Contact, I would be glad to help you out with your account. You can just look at my VIP program at this address. And basically what I do for my VIP program is just serve as an extra layer of help and support. The support for Constant Contact is really fantastic. It's like I often describe it to people as if you are going into a gas station in the 50s, and you have that image of 4 people coming out and cleaning your tires and filling your tank and smiling and all of that. Well, it's somewhat like that. And that's really what you're paying for when you pay for Constant Contact, is the support. I think that's a big part of it. I mean, the program is great, but the support that you get is really unusual. You can get help by phone or by email, and the people at the other end of the phone generally know the program pretty well, very well, and often know the kinds of problems that you're running into and can help you quickly get back on track. And I find that that's very unusual out there in the world today. Try getting any support with Facebook or any of the other online tools that you use. So, and then my VIP program is basically me, serving as support if you have simple questions or more advanced questions, or even if you want to just talk more about, the integration of what you're doing, between your website, your social media, your email marketing, and trying to bring it all together. I can talk about branding with you, and, I'm there to help you. So if you're interested in my VIP program, please just email me and I will tell you how to set that up. And let's see, Danny asks if I provide support for other e-newsletter programs other than Constant Contact. That I really don't. I mostly just work with Constant Contact. I find that it takes it takes a lot to know one of these programs really well. And even though I've been working with Constant Contact for 8 years myself, I still find that there are areas that change, and there are areas that I learn about, and not on a daily basis at this point, but I'm constantly learning new things about it. And I think if I was working on more than one program, it would probably make my offering around Constant Contact less robust. So I pretty much just focused on that. That is not to say that I can't, advise in terms of strategy with other programs, and lots of other programs. I mean, I know Facebook more, better than your average bear. So, and then a lot of other programs as well, such as LinkedIn. So I know my way around digital marketing pretty well. Anyway, so if you're interested in the VIP program and you have a Constant Contact account, I'd love to work with you. Let's talk. And some of you are already part of that. And hopefully you can say something great about your experience in the comment section or on Yelp. And we'll get into how that works in just a moment. Okay, so marketing at its core is about getting results. You're, often asking for these types of things. You're looking for people to take action, come into your store, make reservations, make calls, clicks, and downloads. So, and this all will lead to hopefully revenue and donations, or it could lead to awareness of your cause if you have a cause, or lots of other kinds of responses. And I think what's interesting about digital marketing these days too is that oftentimes we live in a society where there's sort of this instant gratification. We want to take action A and expect that there will be a result, immediately. And one of the things that this presentation doesn't really go into is, sort of the whole idea of reputation and long-term effects that one's actions take. So, for instance, if I do an action and I put out a newsletter, let's say, or I invite you to this webinar, you may come to the webinar and you may watch it and you may learn something, and we may not even work together for 2 years, or we may never work together, but you never really know where a lot of this stuff is going to lead. So even though a lot of this presentation talks about sort of like the instant, A plus B equals C, there's a lot more going on in this world of digital marketing than just the simple sort of like immediate effect. There is definitely an immediate effect, but with marketing, they often say it takes 7 touches before a customer will become a customer. So there is that aspect as well. And I'll probably bring that theory back in a little bit more as we go on, and perhaps write a blog post about it. I hadn't even thought about that. So email is very hard to beat. It's where people are. If anyone tells you that email is not being used by a particular population, they're absolutely wrong. It's being used at all age levels. It's being used by old people. It's being used by very young people. Anyone that's in the workforce is likely using email, and anyone that's in the university is likely using email. That said, it's good to keep your attention on developing technologies. You never really know. They said email was dead 10 years ago, and yet more and more people are using email every day than ever before. It's a very quick growing platform. If you'll notice, for instance, anytime you want to log into a social media platform, what do you need? They're not asking you for your phone number, they're asking for an email address. And so all of the relationships between social media accounts, for instance, are all transacted through email. Now, Facebook is coming along strong, and I have noticed that you can do a lot of logging in here or there via Facebook, and so we'll see where that all goes. Danny asks if I'll be sending out the slides to today's presentation, and I will definitely be doing that. So just hold tight and you'll get those. So here's today's agenda. Having a plan, what your offer is, setting up a campaign, and then next steps. So first of all, having a plan. So you first want to know what your marketing goal is going to be. Is it to reach new customers, driving repeat business, motivate donors, or increase membership or subscriptions? Or perhaps, it's something that's not even on this slide. Knowing what your marketing goal, though, is key. And it's just as important as knowing what your business is about and who your customers are. These are questions that you really want to think about first before you make some kind of an offer out there into the world. because it's going to set the tone. You know, if you run a Groupon or something, or if you put out an offer or a trackable coupon through Constant Contact, um, whatever that is sets the tone for which direction your business is going and how you're representing yourself in the world. So this is something you really want to think through before you figure out what your marketing offer is going to be. What is your goal? What is your marketing goal? So offers and promotions, you know, here's an example, referring a friend and getting a $100 bill in credits. These should let your customers know they are valued. I'm going to go back again. So offers and promotions should let your customers know they are valued, nurture relationships with donors and supporters, and attract customers or supporters. So these are just some of the basis for this type of activity. Some different ways to reach them and different kinds of things that you can reach out with are coupons or discounts. Within Constant Contact, you can click on Create and create a trackable coupon so that if a person redeems it, you know who in your database is taking advantage of what offer. And the value of that is then you know that they are interested in that particular offer, and you can continue marketing to them accordingly. And those people who have not taken you up on that offer, perhaps they'd be interested in something else. So the kind of thing also that you can offer is free shipping, featured products, website traffic. This is something that you can bring in through sharing your website link, donations, and obviously increased awareness. And I think increased awareness is probably like the biggest overarching aspect of email marketing, because when you look at your open rates for an email campaign that you've sent out and you see, okay, 10% of the people have opened it or 40% of the people have opened it. I get people who tell me, oh, I've had 60% of the people have opened my newsletter, and they're complaining that they wish 100% of the people had opened it. Well, 60% or 40% or even 10% of people on your list opening something is a very high percentage. Think about when you post something to Facebook and to your fan page, business page, those are interchangeable phrases for the same thing. Oftentimes you'll get less than 1% of your posts get seen, and engagement is very low as well, unless you're doing advertising. And so know that when you're sending out an email campaign, whatever kind of offer you're making, you're reaching people, in probably the best and least expensive way that you can. And it's going to help increase awareness around whatever it is that you do. And also one of the, encouragements can be to join up for a membership as well. So I talk about this in a webinar that I've done just on subject lines, but subject line and the from address in an email are probably two of the most important things that you can focus on. And I often share with people a headline analyzer from the AMI Institute. I'm sorry, it's the AM Institute, that allows you to see when you make a subject line, just how good it is and how it might perform versus a professional copywriter's subject line. But a person takes about 2 seconds to look at the first 2 words of a subject line before deciding whether or not to open an email. So making sure that that subject line is a really good one is key. And you also want to make sure that your offer is clear. So also not included here, but important, is the from email address and the from name. It should be from someone who the person is going to recognize. And, it's better to have that be excuse me, I'm just closing my window. Got a little static outside. So that should be a clear person or department in your organization that that your clients will recognize. So those two things really are the main drivers of whether somebody opens an email or not. I can't emphasize that enough. And on my website, albertideation.com/videos, I've recorded the webinar that I've done on subject lines. So if you're interested in that topic, do check it out. And let's see. Okay. So there we go. This is just highlighting the subject line and the offer. So sharing your email newsletters is great. You can post your newsletters via social share. Just about everybody that's got Constant Contact now has social share. It used to be called simple share, but either one of those are good tools to get the word out about what it is you're doing. And they basically work like a little mini Hootsuite where you take your whatever it is that you've sent out and you can repurpose it and have it sent out to your Facebook fan page, Twitter account, and LinkedIn. And so, here are just a couple of different ideas. Asking for donations on a donate tab within Facebook. That last one was sharing product photos. And so these are all great ways to raise awareness and hopefully bring in, money or attention into your organization or business. Asking questions to spark a conversation is a good way to go with all of your communications. I kind of, this one is a tricky one for me because I find when I see organizations doing this, if people are asking questions just to spark conversation, I'm not sure that that's a big plus, at least to me personally. I don't know how you feel about it. So it definitely does drive engagement, and it will, help whatever it is you're doing rise up to the top in other people's news feeds. But I would be a little bit careful about this one. I find that when organizations or businesses or individuals do things just to get engagement or to make, a conversation happen, if they're not really interested in the answer or if they're not participating, then I kind of wonder about it. Okay, Katie mentions, I've had the experience of using my from email with my name, but with just a few people unsubscribing, my email address became blacklisted on some email providers' ideas. Well, Katie, I don't have anything off the top of my head to respond to that with, but I will get back to you offline about that because I do have some information that I can dig up that can help you with that. I've sort of had a similar experience myself. So here comes some limitations. You want to make sure when you're doing an offer that you make sure that it's affordable for the people you're offering it to, but make sure it's also affordable to you. You don't want to make an offer to the world that you can't afford or that where you don't make any money. There's a certain, if you're offering a white paper download or something that doesn't cost you very much, that's one thing. But if you're offering something where you have to do fulfillment, boy, you better make sure that you have, the capacity to handle whatever it is that you're offering. And again, not everything has to be 50% off. Here are some other limitations. You want to make sure that you have the resources, product, and staffing to be able to handle whatever is going to come your way. So you want to also, let people know that there are limits and make them very clear. If you do something like, say, this offer ends on Sunday, but you don't specify which Sunday, you could be, in a loop that goes on forever. So I see I have another question. I'll go ahead and see what happens. Okay, sure, Katie, no problem. All right. This last item too, can the rest of your business operate as usual? I know a number of people that have done Groupons where the result has been so overwhelming that they've just been swamped. So you really want to do a little bit of due diligence and make sure that you have the ability to fulfill whatever it is that you're offering. So be careful about that. And also I would recommend and I'm sure this is going to come up again in the next slide, to test whatever it is that you're offering, and maybe even run it by a few people and see what they think. And then this one also is kind of important. Make sure that the item that you have that you're offering has value, not just a clearance of unwanted products or service. So make sure that it's something that will appeal to people, because with marketing, just like with life, you have a limited number of opportunities to sell to people, whatever it is. If a person sees you're making an offer out to the world and they, don't bite, or if they think it's like not such a great offer, they might be hesitant to keep doing business with you, or they may unsubscribe from your email list, just because of that. I've certainly had that experience myself. So what's your offer? So here are some different kinds of offers. You can offer discounts, downloads, an event, business-to-business services, hints and tips, or support a cause. So again, these are 6 different kinds of offers. I'm going to go more deeply into each one, but there are lots and lots of different kinds of offers, and I'm sure you can probably find within these some guidance, but your situation may be different, and there may be something outside of these 6 that is going to make more sense to you. But hopefully amongst these 6, you'll find some ideas that work for you. So here are a couple of discount ideas. 1 + 1 = fun, one for you, one for a friend. Buy one, get 2, 20% off through Thursday. Sometimes it's making things available at a certain time for a certain price. I've got a restaurant that I work with here in town called Fern Kitchen, and they have a 8 to 10 a.m. happy hour, $5 breakfasts. So that's their discount. Downloads, this can be on your Facebook page. There's a social campaign within Constant Contact that you can set up on your Facebook fan page that allows somebody to download a white paper, and hopefully they'll like your page, and hopefully they'll also provide their email address. So it's a way to build your list, and it's also a way to do an exchange where hopefully you're providing value to the people who are signing up for the download. And you'll see this a lot online. You'll see this type of offer a lot out there, where people are offering some sort of download in exchange for you signing up for their list. Also notice here that there are odd numbers in the beginning of 2 of these items. Odd numbers tend to do better in subject lines than even numbers. And so just so you know, and also notice how short the subject lines here are. 5 tips for better gardens. That type of a subject line really does well. It's very clear. If you're interested in gardens, that is going to be for you. Events, you can do, saving a percentage off of an event. I'll probably be doing that with my boot camp. We'll see about that, but that's probably going to be coming. 2-for-1 ticks, register for yourself and bring a friend for free. Letting people know that there's only a certain number of seats left at a particular price, makes some urgency about the event. So, these are all ideas around events. Events are also a great way to build your email list. They're a great way to get exposure for your business. I can't say enough about events. Luckily, I'm kind of an extroverted guy, so I like doing events. It's, can be difficult for people, but I think people really like to go to events, and they like being invited to them, and we all need stuff to do. And so I would look into that. If you or your organization is not doing events yet, I would really check that out and see if events are for you. Let's see here. I'm going to just take a break for a glass of water. If anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them into the question area. So if you're a B2B service, some things you might consider are, if you're going to do some kind of a install of a website, or you're going to manage somebody's newsletters, that's something that I do. I do offer newsletter reviews with every consultation that I do with people. And, it's something that you can offer too. What is your expertise? Where do you have knowledge that people, who are coming to you or people in your vicinity don't have knowledge? And that's something that you can offer. Coaching sessions, making some kind of a package up. And there's lots and lots of ideas around B2B services. And I believe many of you have already gotten from me a list of ideas around marketing by industry. And if you haven't gotten that, please let me know and I will send it to you. But it's something that Constant Contact created where each industry is, it's broken down. There's about a 2-page uh, sheet for each industry talking about different holidays that you can market around and different kinds of ideas that you can use. And I think many of you are on my email list already and should have gotten that document. But if not, please let me know and I'll send it to you. I find it really valuable when I'm working with a client to think, okay, well, you're a restaurant. Okay, well, what's coming up? July 4th. Okay, well, how about a barbecue? Or you're a funeral home. When's the biggest time of year that you want to be doing? When's the slowest time of year? Probably summer, would be my guess. Anyway, I don't know why my mind went there, but figuring out what your industry is and what kinds of offers go best when is a great thing to know. Let's see. Brenda asks, I'm going to just take that one offline with you, Brenda. Basically, answer no. Okay. All right. Hints and tips. So this is another kinds of offer that you can give people. So just some different kinds of hints and tips depending on what kind of industry they might be in or what kind of industry you might be in. Supporting a cause, if you were trying to raise some money, here's some different kinds of directions that you might go. Joining today, receive our friends and family discount. I went to a concert last night and, for joining the list, they could be offering discounted tickets in the future or a chance to join a raffle. There's hundreds of different ways to different kinds of offers that you can do if you are trying to raise money and to support a cause. And I'm sure many of you have seen these kinds of things out there. And if you need more ideas around this, again, that document I just mentioned will be helpful. And I'd also be glad to help you through, brainstorming what a good offer to support your organization would be. So segmenting your list is kind of key. Here is just an idea of how one could think about different folks within your organization. And this is something that I have gotten more into in the last year than anything else, is figuring out who on my email list is related to me in what way. And here's some different segmentation, people who are regular customers, people who are more than regular customers. Any of you that have point of sales systems can do a export and see who's coming into your business frequently, who's only come in once. If you take data in like zip code, you'll be able to know where people are buying from you. And if you're an online business, same kind of thing. The more data you have on people, the more you can know, okay, I've got a new customer, or VIPs, people who are both buying your product, maybe they're volunteering for your organization, maybe they are large donors to your organization, maybe they are frequent customers. And those people, really want special treatment and really deserve special treatment. And we should all be figuring out how to reach out to the people who are our VIPs and nurture them, because the new word of mouth now is sharing through social media and sharing through reviews. And when one of our super fans does this kind of kindness for us, it makes all the sense in the world for us to turn around and reward them and treat them specially. So that's a thought about that. So Brenda asks if I'm doing this with tags and additions to lists. So within Constant Contact, you have the opportunity to put people into different lists. People can be in multiple lists, and then they can also be tagged. And what tags are really used for, Brenda, is to subtract people from a send. So let's say I am wanting to send to, looking at this slide right now, I'm wanting to send to the regular customers. So I'm wanting to send to everybody except the VIPs. So I might choose all of the lists, and then those who are tagged with VIPs, I would narrow it down by removing them, and perhaps I would send them something different. Yeah, I can also talk to you a little bit more about tags at another time, but basically, personally, I don't use tags very much at all. I mostly just use lists because I find that it's just an easier way to go. It simplifies it for me. I know tags within Constant Contact seem like they can be useful, and I'm sure there are people out there that are using them in ways I haven't thought of, but so far, mostly I just put people in different lists and leave it at that. Let's see. And then Diana has just asked, in that case, is VIP the list name? Yes, that is the case. And yes, I will talk to you offline about tags, Brenda, sure. Absolutely. You're all probably thinking, what? He's really just talking to himself. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about setting up a campaign. Campaigns are you're pushing content out and you're hoping to pull a response. And it's something that anyone who's watched any of my webinars before, I'm sure you're familiar with this concept. Making it timely, leveraging key dates, that's something that is going to be part of that document that I mentioned to you. Maybe what I'll do, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to pause for a second. I think I'm going to upload that document right now and just take a moment and do that. And I'll put that in the handout section so that you all can just have it and then you can refer to it right now. Let me see if I can pull that off in a timely manner. So far, it's not going as quickly as I'd hope. Okay, maybe not. It looks like while you're in the middle of a webinar, you don't get that opportunity. It looks like the functionality is there. Anyway, I'll make sure to send that out with my slides and a recording of the webinar today. So leveraging key dates obviously is important. If your business, many businesses, now I'm thinking about you, Diana, probably do a lot of business around, well, your business is probably all year long, but many businesses, do a lot around the holidays, the winter holidays. And so, even now, if I was in a retail business, I would be thinking about editorial calendar, and I would be thinking about the winter months and Christmas and New Year's and those kind of times, Halloween perhaps. That also is something where you want to be thinking about shipping deadlines as well. And also, as I talked about before, you want to make sure to track when your offer is going to end and try not to get caught in some kind of snafu where your offer ends when it's the most tight time of shipping, like around Christmas. So you want to time those things well. And I'm sure any of you that are in retail, probably already are, have some experience around that. Okay, so these are just a few examples of, free shipping and various kinds of percentages off that you might do. Making it easy, so helping your customers find the right products. Communicating through pictures. Pictures paint 1,000 words, as they say. And, if you are involved in a business that has anything that you're offering that's visually stimulating and you're not including pictures, I think you're hurting yourself. So I highly recommend including pictures. Now, you don't want to overdo it. They say these days 3 to 5 pictures is probably the max. And I tend to just include 1 or 2 because I know that a lot of people are looking at things on mobile phones, and a lot of people are looking at their mobile phones and they have images turned off. And so you want to be sensitive to that as well. But do use pictures. Using design wisely and limiting choices. The idea here is you don't want to give people too many choices when they come into your newsletter or whatever offer you're offering. If you have one clickable link in a newsletter, that is the highest chance that you will get for somebody to click on it. I mean, it's kind of intuitively obvious in a way, but I think many of us who have been doing email marketing for a while have had the experience of having multiple links and giving people all sorts of choices. But what ends up happening is people get overwhelmed with the choices and they don't end up clicking on anything. And so the less choices you give them, the more likely they are going to be to take the one choice that you probably want them to take anyway, which, like for instance, in this one, is clicking on the Shop Now button. Okay, so making it engaging with video. Videos increase click-through rates by 300%. So that's all I think I need to say about that. Everybody should be including video with their emails, at least from time to time. I've just started a offering that I think I mentioned earlier before some of you got online, which is called Song a Day. And I was taking a vacation down at the beach, and I thought to myself, I really like being a DJ, and I really like sharing music with people. And so many of my posts on Facebook are songs that I like, that I have the video for. When I was in high school, I used to walk around the halls of school and be answering people's questions in song lyrics. So I've been, part of a musical family for a long time, and I just really love music. So I thought I would do an autoresponder series called Song a Day. And so what happened was I just got started with it, and I happily started adding one song after another into an email series. And I'm up to song number 61 right now, and I've got about 85 people who've signed up, and they're working their way towards the last song, and I keep adding new ones. So we'll see how long I go. Some days I just feel like, oh, I think I'll just leave that be, and then I hear two or three songs in a row that I'm just fanatical about and that I want to share with people, and I just love it. I've been loving the feedback about it, and so autoresponders again is another topic that I do a whole class on. I've done it a few times, and I think I've got that recorded also at albertideation.com/videos. And if you're not familiar with autoresponders, or you've never created one for your business or for yourself, I highly recommend looking into it. It's pretty exciting, especially if you can figure out some sort of angle that will work with your business. Now, Song a Day, I'm not offering anybody anything, but it's kind of become a little bit of an extension of me. And, I include a song, a video, and then sometimes the reasoning why I included that song, or somebody might have sent me the song, and then I'll often include a link back to that person's business. So it's turning into a little bit of a combo. Anyway, that's an aside. If you want to sign up for Song a Day, I'll probably include it in my email back to you to let you know how to get into that. Okay, and Diana says, thanks, great. So spotlighting your products and customers, that's a really easy thing to do with video these days. It's not hard to pull out your phone and, make a video quickly and have that inside your newsletter in a matter of minutes. And then you can also promote your video by, uploading it onto Facebook or putting it into buffer.com or Hootsuite and having it go to all of your different social media platforms. If you upload your video directly to Facebook, they love that. Facebook is in a battle royale with YouTube. And so it's really giving a lot of encouragement and prime time to anybody that uploads native video. And also now with the ability of the videos to just start rolling, whether you click on them or not, you can just see what that Facebook is leaning into that direction. So making things engaging with reviews, you can ask for reviews. A lot of people obviously read reviews before buying anything. So, encouraging your fans and customers and members to review your world. I should actually have like a little Yelp button here, or my own Yelp location on Yelp. But if you look up Albert Ideation, you can find it. Feel free to go out there and write me a review, or if you want to post something on my fan page, Albert Ideation. I would love that. I haven't been reviewed in either place in a while, but that's okay too. But don't be afraid to ask. So I'm asking. Okay. So including relevant reviews, feedbacks, ratings, and quotes in your outreach to people is also a great idea. I have a friend who's a real estate agent, and he talks about always including successes in his newsletters. And, you know, he had a lot. He was a very successful realtor in Portland for about 10 years. He built up a real estate agency here called Portland's Alternative Real Estate, Portland Alternative Realtors. And you know, he just would, every time that they would send out a communication, always include a positive note from one of their fans. And I have tried that a little bit, and I'm sure that adding testimonials like that to your website, to your newsletter, Facebook are all great places to share, you know, what a good job you're doing. And hopefully you are doing a great job, and hopefully people are recognizing that. And don't be afraid to ask for that kind of feedback, because it can be great content for you. There's nothing better than having someone else, you know, say good words about you. There's really nothing better than that, especially in this day and age where that kind of information can then start ricocheting around amongst all the different social media. So again, making it shareable. These share links at the top of the newsletter, that's a part of what Constant Contact adds in. It's not actually added in by default. You have to add it. You have to check a box in the header options, but adding that in there adds to the possibility that someone's going to share your newsletter and your offer by 158%. So you want to include those share links in there. And it used to be that people would, you could track who was sharing, and I don't believe you can track who was sharing, but you could see within the reporting in Constant Contact how much your items are being shared or forwarded. So I also include a forward to a friend button in everything that I do. And I also include a sign up for my newsletter in every newsletter that I send out, because if someone does forward your newsletter or shares it on social media, and then someone else opens it and they find it interesting, there's an opportunity for them to join in and join your list as well. And again, that's a referral. And like I said earlier, referrals are huge. You really can't pay for that kind of exposure in any other way. So here's that share bar that I mentioned earlier. And then again, using simple share or social share, and then asking people to share your information. If you ask people, they are much more likely to take that action. So I often will include that too. Please share this with a friend. Please retweet this or pin it or whatever it is. Making it mobile. So here's an example of a email newsletter that's seen on a mobile phone, and you can see that the text goes so far down the screen that a person's going to have to scroll down to see whatever the call to action is, probably signing up for this workshop. Now here's an example that's a little bit better, so a person can see a little bit more of the information and decide whether or not they're going to go and whether or not it's applicable to them. Making it mobile, avoid using multiple columns. I highly recommend to people that if they're not using mobile-friendly templates, that they really switch. I have a number of clients who I keep encouraging, and really single column is the way to go. If you do use the double-columned templates within Constant Contact that have a little cell phone by them, you are fine. But if you are still using a template that you've been using for years and it's a multiple column template, it's probably going to look great on a desktop, but it's not going to look that good on a mobile phone or mobile device. Using easy and clear calls to action. So here you can see there's a button that says sign up today, and then there's also an underlined link. So if the person doesn't have images turned on, they at least have that at 10 a.m. link to click on. Avoiding tiny fonts and hard to read colors. Here are some examples of a mistake that is being called out here, where things are difficult to read, and no one wants to look at something that's difficult to read. It's really not that hard to, think this through and look at it and try to, clear things up using a background that's white, dark, um, text colors, and large fonts generally helps. I recommend 12 point as the minimum for text and 22 as the minimum for titles. Using images carefully. Here you can see that a person used an image, and it's not, the images aren't turned on this person's phone. So, the alt text for this image probably could be something more interesting that either a person might want to then turn on images, or at least, give an idea for the person of what they're missing. And then they also don't know what they're missing because they can't click on anything. And, um, just the whole point of the email is somewhat lost. So be careful about using images knowing that someone may be seeing it on one screen on their mobile phone. And here's an image that's too wide for the phone, a similar kind of problem. So, quick review: know your goal, know your offer, and know when to send. So we've talked a lot about all of those, and you'll be getting a recording of this as well, which will hopefully go into depth about all those different areas. Some ideas about how to figure out when to send and the best time of day. Most people open up an email within the first hour that it's sent. Although every once in a while I'll find people opening emails, a week or two after I've sent them. Or one thing I notice too is sometimes someone doesn't open an email, like maybe I've sent 5 emails to them in the span of a month or two, and then I notice that they open all 5 at once. And I find myself doing that too, especially if there's some kind of a series. I usually want to read the whole series at once. So, this whole idea of trying to dial in when the best time to send is for your audience and what the best time and the best day, I think it's worth trying. The document I mentioned to you also, I believe, includes, what typically are the best times and days for different kinds of industries. So, a bakery, for instance, is probably going to want to send things out at 7 a.m. for their time zone, whereas a church, maybe it's noon. So different organizations, different kinds of industries do have better times and dates. Constant Contact now also has a feature where when you're about to send, it'll prompt you and say, here's when we think the best time to send is. And what they do is they sleuth your, what they know about you and your industry, because you've probably put that into your profile. And then they take that information and then they match that with the list that you've been sending to and consider when people have opened up in the past. And then they give you a suggestion. Now, I usually find that suggestion is a week away, or 4 days away, and is often some kind of an odd time number. And I've actually never tried and seen whether that works, but it is there as a feature. So, if you're feeling like you want to try that out, it is there and it is available. So give that a try and see what you see. Here's a sample marketing calendar that you might try out. Now, this is for someone who's probably pretty far along in terms of their kinds of offerings, but it's just an idea of different ways that you can approach this by making the tease early on, posting on Facebook a couple of times, and then possibly sending out an email somewhere in the middle, and then thanking people a week later, and then adding in perhaps maybe there's an extension of the offer, or maybe there's a different offer. But here's a little bit of how that could all look. So automating what you can, I talked about this a little bit before. Obviously setting welcome messages that come to people when they sign up for your newsletter, pre-scheduling campaigns, using autoresponders. I've talked about that a little bit. You can schedule posts via Facebook. And the recommendation here is to spend 20 minutes at a time, 3 to 5 times a week. I've often mentioned to people an idea that I have tried, which is just being your fan page or your business page for an hour, and just working from there for a while and seeing how that goes. It's not the same kind of, sort of energetic hit that it is to be in your personal Facebook space, but many of you who are in business, probably understand that that would make sense and possibly could lead to some interesting results. And so Piper asks that she's late. I'll be sending the recording and slides from the show, from the Albert Show, out to you via email in just a little bit. Piper. So back to this, here's some ideas about, scheduling. And here's what autoresponders used to look like within Constant Contact. It's changed a little bit since this image, but it actually, this is a similar kind of a view of what you would see now. Again, here's scheduling things within Facebook. You can move things out and, have them come at whatever time you'd like them to come. And also using things like Hootsuite. I like one called buffer.com to schedule things. And so again, if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. This is what the reporting looks like within Constant Contact. And here's a campaign that a person did, and you can see how many engagements they had, how many active content, how many active contacts, the timing of it. And you should be looking at this reporting for your Constant Contact account at least every month, if not more. I tend to look at every campaign I send and kind of drill down and see how it did. Oftentimes I can also look at who clicked on something and create a new list just out of the people who seemed interested in a particular link that I posted. You can really kind of segment out your audience that way. So for instance, looking at this reporting, I can look at these 15 people who are new and put those folks into a different category than, just people who answered a survey. And you can keep teasing the groups apart after that. Let's see. So Brenda asked, are those numbers people who took the action or only clicked on the link? My guess is that in this case, they are people who clicked on the link. But here you've got 26 people who are trackable coupon claims. So those are people who took the action. And donors would be people who actually donated. So, it's not exact here in this case, but, when you run a campaign, you'll kind of see the metrics and be able to suss that out yourself as well. So again, if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. 21 unique clicks, and here is how those play out. So 2 people clicked on this particular link, and I might add those to people to a list called Pinterest users. And here's 4 people who clicked on a Facebook link, so obviously Facebook users. Here's 12 people who clicked on a link that was about booking, so people who want massage or yoga. And here are people who went out to the YouTube, so those are video watchers. Now I'm kind of drilling down in a way that you might not do, but you can get the idea that you can then capture who is interested in what, and then see about creating some new lists. So don't forget to thank people who have redeemed your offer or have taken you up on it. Probably you want to send them a newsletter and an offer of some kind of an exclusive incentive and keep them engaged. Again, you want to check reporting tools, do some segmenting, and reward customers who clicked. And then, ask people for help in getting the word out further about what it is that you're doing. So as I mentioned earlier, for those of you who don't have Constant Contact, you can start with a trial. You can sign up here or just let me know and I would be glad to sign you up. In fact, I'd prefer it if I can set up the account. I can help you get the account set up and get you rolling in a good way. And you can also use the text to trial. Again, for those of you who missed the beginning, there is a promotion going on through the end of June Feel free to let people know about this. It's 3 months for 30% off on Constant Contact, and the promo code is Spring16. And again, feel free to send anyone my way who you think might want to take advantage of this, and I will help them get set up and rolling along. And if you already have Constant Contact, please do me the favor of joining my VIP program. It helps me out. Hopefully it will help you out as well. And, basically I plan to do this for at least another 10 years, and I would be glad to be in relationship with you and helping you and guiding you and encouraging you and being your cheerleader, as long as you're not involved in an industry that I don't want to have something to do with. But most small businesses I'm just fine with. So yeah, please do consider that. And so yeah, does anyone have any questions? I would be glad to answer them. And feel free to ask anything you want. And I just wanted to let you know it's also been a pleasure to talk to you today. I am, as I mentioned, teaching other classes around Portland and also doing at least another webinar. I'll probably be doing a webinar a month. And so please do keep in touch and let your friends know and other small businesses. I'm really glad to help the small business and nonprofit community out. I just get a real thrill out of helping others with the knowledge that I've gained through years of being involved in this world. So thank you again for coming. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll go ahead and take some questions. Have a great summer.